Welcome back to Car-Pinionated, where Glenn and I talk about cars like we always do. We've been doing for years. My name is Doug Stewart, and I am the senior digital content producer at Fox 61. And this is my friend Glenn Packman. Say hello, Glenn.
Hello, Glenn.
All right.
I'm reminded of Laverne and Shirley, and I really want to do a squiggy. And every time you introduce me, I go, "Hello." You remember they used to do that from the 70s? Oh my God, I'm aging myself. Never mind. Feel free to type in the comments. Who are Laverne and Shirley? Yeah. Okay. Good.
Michael McKean and David Lander, to give credit where credit is due.
Classic comedy duo. They were amazing. They were so fun. Anyways,
they make a cameo like most of Hollywood did in the Steven Spielberg film 1941.
Yes, that's right.
All right. So,
anyways, back to cars.
The big Detroit Auto Show was just recently, and as they do, they introduced some new models.
Yes, they do.
The first one we're going to talk about here is the 2024 Ford F-150, and as Ford and one of America's best-selling vehicles, you can get this in virtually any flavor you want, from plain Jane all the way up to the Raptor, which will eat, trees and plants and stuff.
Right.
I like this new redesign. What are you thinking of it? What's your thoughts about it?
I do too. It's got a very nice aggressiveness to it that, of course, will appeal to a lot of drivers who want their cars to be scary looking. By the way, for those at home, if you see me glancing off the side, it's because I have another computer screen. That's what I'm looking at for reference here. But yeah, it looks like that might be, not the standard grill, but something you might be able to order. But it's fun. You're right. This is a bread and butter truck that you can get on all sorts of different levels. They're probably going to sell a lot of them. Why not make it appealing and a little, give it a dash of, aggressiveness or something, unexpected. I will say this, trends recently have been for manufacturers to start making those grills really huge, and this one seems proportionally correct. So thank you, Ford.
Yeah,
I like it.
I think this new I think this new tailgate is kind of cool. It looks like a 2/3 sort of thing. I've thought for a long time that GM wins the pickup tailgate award for having the one that has the step that folds out of it.
Right.
And this one, I think looks good. I think it'll work out for people. It's, Dodge has one that's split in the center, but this is split like 2/3. And I don't know what trims that goes on. But what is really interesting to me is how useful automobile manufacturers have made the whole tailgate area. Like, you can plug stuff in. You can, you have a tape measure on it. You can store tools. You can, do all sorts of stuff. You have lighting and bottle openers and all sorts of other stuff that's useful. That's useful things where, it used to be, and not so long ago, that it was a bed liner. And you could tie stuff down, but now they make it so you can put 2x6s or whatever you're going to put, to make a rack in there. And the Maverick comes with you click on you go on a QR code, and it gives you all sorts of different things you can buy or you can make. It's like, well, okay, good. Yeah. All right. So going next to the 2024 GM Acadia.
Nice.
GMC Acadia. What are you thinking?
I always felt like the Acadia was kind of, especially in the original generation, just kind of felt it was too long and too narrow. The design was a little odd, and I see them getting back to a more, they've been getting a little bit chunkier and a little bit sturdier looking over the years, less like a minivan or a station wagon, more like, an off-roading vehicle. This has a nice stocky kind of appeal to it. I will say it reminds me a little bit of some of Honda's new language. Just a little bit, specifically that the way back looks a little bit like the new CR-V, but bigger. That's not a bad thing, trust me. Is it going to be enough to stand out from the herd is really my question for them. Is it going to look different enough to make people go, "Ooh, I really want to buy that"? So, and I think the answer to that is I got to see one up close to pass judgment. But in photos, it looks clean, and I like it. It certainly has a rugged look to it, and that's appealing.
And that's, I think, part of TMC's, you know, motto,
Yeah,
mantra, whatever you want to call it, that they tend to look more aggressive than their Chevrolet counterparts,
right,
as
right.
the lineups stack up, and the GMC is a little bit, more luxurious.
Hmm.
But I have always liked this midsize GMC platform.
Hmm.
Um, it's always got good proportions to me. Um,
Right.
from way back in the day, like the late 2000s, when it was they 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 made them in every division, right?
Right.
There was a Buick, there was a Chevy, there was a GMC, there was a Saturn for a while.
Right.
I think they, by that time, Pontiac and Oldsmobile had gone, but they had them, and it always seems like a well rounded car, that
Hmm.
that the and GMC. It's always interesting that GMC is paired in a lot of showrooms with Buick.
Yeah.
That they have this equivalency,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is kind of very interesting to me.
Right. Right.
Uh, okay, next on our list here, the 2025 Cadillac CT5. Glenn, how do you feel about the CT5?
You know how I feel because we talked about it before the show. Yeah, it's definitely a beautiful car. It's got some really interesting lines. That headlight display at the front is a little bit busy, but it's not to the point where I'm like, that's ugly. It's just it's interesting, you know.
Yeah,
Um, I am a fan of Cadillac's wedge-shaped grills that they've been using recently. I like the direction that it's going. But this car reads comfortable and expensive and a little luxurious, but also it says fast. It
yeah,
looks like it's gonna be no slouch. Big wheels, gorgeous. The one that I'm looking at has a gorgeous red paint job. I
yeah,
mean, just they did a beautiful
yeah.
job. If I have one tiny little gripe, it's that all the way back behind at the end of the passenger windows, there's this little extra nub of
Yeah,
chrome.
yeah.
Yeah, that we're just talking about Honda design language. That screams something that they did on the
It's
Accord.
Civic
That
Accord. Yeah,
they did it. Now it's filtered down to the Civic.
yeah,
I would get rid of that.
yeah,
I think the car is beautiful enough. I don't think you need that there. I think it's one little thing, but I would definitely just hack that off and just make it the red color of the body.
yeah.
It's minor. It's very minor. I mean, like the back end has those two beautiful trapezoid shaped tailpipes. It's just, this is a gorgeous car. I would love
Yeah,
to see one up close because I have a feeling that in person it's pretty amazing. But nice
yeah,
job. And I'm not a big fan of Caddy. I've never really been like, oh, I want to drive a Cadillac. But this, yeah,
yeah.
it looks,
I think you're right. It's proportionally, it's right on.
yeah,
It's aggressive, without being like scaring the children sort of
right,
thing.
yeah,
Um, they, it's just got a lot going on that really,
right,
they're this one is firing on all cylinders. And
yeah,
frankly, it's one of the last Cadillacs that will have cylinders. Um,
right, right,
so, but I that's a car. They
yeah,
and I think you can make a case for, you know, whether Cadillac is selling cars that people want to buy. We've talked about this, but they know what they're doing. They know
mhm,
what their cars stand for, and maybe the only the buying public only attaches a value to an Escalade, and perhaps the XT6, something that same mid-size SUV as the Acadia, that body
Right,
style, which I think is
right.
also a great looking car. That's what people are looking for. But this sedan knocks it out of the park. And frankly, if you're going to go out on an internal combustion engine, that's a high note to go out on
Yeah,
right there.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And props to them for just not throwing too much at the car, because a lot of manufacturers I'm seeing lately are like, how many different things can we lob at the car to make it look different or catch somebody's eye or whatever, and
Yeah.
I don't see that here. There's an elegance to the shape and the design that's really beautiful. How many of these they will sell, I have no idea.
Let's get off the paved surface and move on to the trail. How's that for a transition?
There you
Uh,
go. Very
it's like
nice.
it's like I work in TV. Um, so the new Jeep Gladiator, we've talked in the recent past about the mid-cycle refresh of the Wrangler, and this is
Mhm.
the pickup version of that.
Pickup
I,
version.
I like to say that I'm not a super fan of the Gladiator, but this refresh really really works well. It really really does.
It's
Um,
boxy. It definitely, I mean, it screams Jeep,
yeah,
for sure. Uh, I, I, it's not my favorite car, but that's just my personal taste. But I could see anybody driving this, and it's certainly going to turn some heads when you go down the road,
yeah.
And it's unmistakably a Jeep, and uh, good on Jeep for banking on that. When they put out a car that just screams Jeep.
Yep, yep. Um, yeah, they're having some sales problem. You can get a lot of good deals on Gladiators these days.
Yeah.
The Gladiator itself is not selling all that well. Um, but it's gorgeous in that blue. You know that
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
blue is a standout. So
Nice.
um,
I will say
uh,
that I certainly wouldn't have uh, any negative thoughts about taking this off road.
yeah, oh yeah,
And most cars, I would say, just don't drive off road. They say you can drive off road with that car. Don't. This I would drive off road. I
yeah.
would definitely drive off road with
If
this
it's a
car.
dirt road, you're okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, if it's snowing, you're okay. But
Yep. Yep. Exactly. Exactly.
moving on, we have discussed $300,000 cars in the past on our little show here. Um,
Right.
and and we didn't like it. The Mustang GTD, however, would be $300,000 I would spend.
Wow. Yeah.
This is a lot of car, and boy, I think it looks great. I think it looks awesome. It is like if you're looking at a Doug car, this is really not a Doug car.
No.
But this is wild. This is
Right.
just a wild vehicle.
It is. It is wild. Uh,
Uh,
there's so much going on this car. It's a lot. It really is. I think it's like, we're going to sell a car for $300,000. We should throw an awful lot at the car. And to me, it's a little bit of a shame, because I think, in my view, if they had made this a little bit more sleek, say, give us the $200,000 version, I think you'd get some more of the actual design language of the car.
yeah,
Just the big thing over the front fender, that big black area, is too much. I don't mind the little scoop at the back
yeah,
of the door. That's kind of cool, actually.
yeah,
But I kind of long to see this car in its original format. To
yeah.
see what it was actually based on, because parts of it are really pretty. Um, and we know it's fast. I mean, there's no way this car couldn't be fast. That skirting around the bottom is there to make sure that the car doesn't launch into the air. It's
Yeah.
just that's why it's there. So yeah, it's a $300,000 car, but it's a little it's a pizza with about three too many toppings on it for me. So yeah.
Okay. Well, so you won't get to drive mine when I
Right,
get it.
exactly.
Um,
Because I poo-pooed it a little. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But and forgive me for this, but that tail fin, I mean, come on. A sperm whale has a smaller tail fin than that. Okay, it's just huge. You could you could put a condo on top of that tail. That the fin. It's just it's a lot. Some people are just gonna wet themselves over this car,
Yeah.
obviously. So
Yeah.
I
Uh,
just I think you know it's
and
too much to do.
if you did put a condo there, it would help with the cost of paying for it. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. You can rent it out while you're
Rent it
driving
out.
down. So,
It's like, yeah, that's an in-law apartment on my car.
right. Legal. Yeah, we made
Yeah.
sure that
Yeah.
it was all okay.
Um,
Yeah.
and while we're in the Ford Mustang corner of the dealership,
Hmm.
we have the Mach E Rally here. Um, I'll admit I am a fan of the Mach E.
Hmm.
No, not for me. Nope,
No,
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 not a fan of the wheels, not a fan of the
nope,
color.
nope.
Nope,
The
nope.
wheels are the first thing that I saw, and it was like, ooh, they look cheap. They look like
Yeah,
hubcaps.
yeah,
So yeah,
exactly.
and yeah, I if you listened to our broadcast recently on my car under $50,000, this was my pick actually.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, you know, I don't. If you look at the bright yellow
yeah,
version, I don't like the bright yellow, but I do like the hood stripes, and I like the
yeah.
black. Just pair it up with a different color, a nice red, a nice blue, and get some real alloy wheels, and
Right.
then we're talking. Then we're
Yep.
talking.
Moving on to the Chevrolet Colorado ZR2 AEV Bison, which
Bison.
Bison, which needs a
Bison.
shorter name.
Yes,
Needs
it
a shorter
does.
name
The Chevrolet, blah 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 blah. Bison.
because the tailgate's going to have from here to here with the name on it.
Right. Right.
Um, you know, it's aggressive looking.
Yeah.
It's not bad aggressive. And I appreciate what they've done with the Colorado, where they've made even the base models, have a good
Mhm.
starting point of equipment. Um, and this is obviously the when you want to jump from rock to rock, this is the model that you want apparently. Um,
Right. Right.
you know, it's fine. It's not for me. It's fine. I guess
Yeah.
that's what I'm thinking.
Uh, I'm going to say that I, I feel like the styling on this pushes it to the point where it's almost a little cartoony.
Yes.
I feel like okay, here it is. If Pixar did a film and one of the Cars films, and one of the characters was a tough, big off-roading truck, this was what it would look like. It just I don't
Yeah.
know. There's something about it that it's just a little too much. I don't know.
Yeah.
Uh, it's not my favorite. The truck we did before, I think, has it all over this. That's the 150, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just cleaner language. Not just chucking stuff at the truck to chuck at it. So I just it doesn't speak. There's nothing here on it that just has nice clean lines, something direct, straight forward. I just no. I'm gonna
I,
say
I
no.
so now we're back to Ford,
Uh-huh.
the Ford F-150 Lightning in platinum black.
Mm,
And I will always say I'm a fan of Ford products.
mhm.
Please stop with the matte paint. Please, just please.
Yeah. It looked is it me or is it just doesn't look done? It looks like this is the undercoat and then they're gonna put something
Right,
on top of it.
right, right. And
Yeah.
I have said this before when BMW first started coming out with matte paints. And I was at press days at the New York Auto Show. I don't think you were with me this year, that's this specific year, but
Mhm.
they were the there was some higher up at BMW who was talking to some journalist and like flat out admitted, I don't think this is going to work because down the line it's just going to be problems, and you
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
some guy who's trying to buff that matte paint from that specific car that we were talking about way back then, and give it a shine. And, I was like,
Yeah.
I don't get it. I never have. So,
It's something different, and I suppose there are going to be some people that like it. I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
And in regards to this particular truck, I just think it's another overload of black, which very rarely is my favorite thing.
Yeah.
There's some cars that work with that. It just doesn't seem to do anything here. So
I would agree.
swing and a miss.
Yeah. And so then we have the last gasp of the Camaro.
Another GM product with a name that's way too long.
Yeah. The 2024 GM Camaro Collector's Edition ZL1 1LE.
Yeah, it's the ZL11 and LE. Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Here's the car that's going to come to life and eat your face off. Look at this thing. It's freaking scary. You can't tell me they didn't try to make this thing frightening looking, This is Halloween in a car, and a lot of people really love Halloween, and all the power to them. No,
nothing against Camaros, because people like them, and great. I bear no ill will towards a Camaro. I see this car leaving Cars and Coffee on a Sunday morning and wiping out a whole bunch of bushes or a fence or something. It's just
again with the matte paint, and again with just way too much going on. And if they simplified it down, it might be a more beautiful car. I'm not a fan of the Camaro. The last one that I drove, I found it was just a miserable driving experience.
Yeah, sorry that such a storied brand, a model, has to go out on a flat note,
with flat paint.
Flat, right. It all sort of comes together. And then for the last car here, last but not least, the shortest name we have here? No, I don't know. The GMC Sierra EV Denali, which again, as we have mentioned in the past, when you get this car in white, it looks like a stormtrooper.
Yes, I was thinking the exact same thing, or at least a Mandalorian. It's just, and again, too much going on. Look at the front of this thing. Look at this. There's it's like a jigsaw puzzle put together. It's just too many parts here, and it's just really, I don't know. I long for the days where we have a more simple design. Hey, let's go back to when we were talking BMW, and their new thing came out with, and that has nice, clean language to it. Not seeing it here, just not.
I'm going to throw you for a loop here, and they've speaking of new cars, I think this fits in. They have given a mid-cycle refresh to the Nissan Rogue.
Props to this car. It's a nice size car.
Yeah.
It's a little bit bigger than your compact, but not quite as big as the next one up. So it's got a very upscale look for a bread and butter portion of the market. So good for them.
And
I am looking at the platinum version, which is probably more expensive, but
they sell a lot of them.
They do. They
sell a lot of them. I don't remember that. Some like a third of all the Nissan sold are Rogues. Or I could be entirely wrong on that, but that's
right.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I don't like about the Rogue here is the split front headlights, where the daytime running light is the top eyebrow and the light is the lower part. Not a big fan of that. So that's it for this week with Car-Pinionated. Thank you once again for joining us. Thank you, Glenn. It's always a pleasure. You're quite welcome. And we will be back next week. And so happy motoring.